Hello. Thank you for joining me for this presentation of Telehealth Insurance Billing. Is taking insurance the right thing for me? I put this presentation together to hopefully give online practitioners more confidence to bill insurance for their services. So when I first started out, I was scared. I was scared to take my practice all online, mainly because I didn't know if I could successfully bill insurances for telehealth. So over the last year, I've spent a lot of time navigating the telehealth insurance maze, and through trial and error, I've successfully implemented insurance billing into my online practice. And now I'm working all online and from home, and I bill 30 to 40 client hours per week, and they're all insurance clients. Also, if you stay until the end of this presentation, I'm going to provide you with a free tool that will help you decide if taking insurance is the right thing for you. So, what's the downside to taking insurance? Firstly, joining panels means that you will not get paid unless you submit claims to the insurance companies. I know that's pretty self-explanatory, but it's an important point because it does take time. At first, it took me a lot of time to figure out how to bill, who to bill, when to bill, but now that I've got it pretty mainstreamed through simple practice, it's pretty easy. I just click a button and it's done. There are things that come up, so just the other day I was on hold with Aetna for about 40 minutes and I was waiting for a representative just to come on the line. I had to check a claim that was denied, and I needed to actually speak to somebody about it. But the good thing was I was working from home. I was able to load the dishwasher while I was waiting. I was able to fold my laundry. I got a lot of stuff down around the house while I was waiting for them to answer. So those are some of the perks of working from home. Another downside of taking insurance is that it can take a while to get credentialed with the insurance companies. And in some cases, it can take up to 3 months. So that's why it's important to decide early if taking insurance is right for your practice. One problem with taking insurance can be that sometimes in certain areas the panels are closed due to oversaturation. There's just too many clinicians already on the panel, so you can't get in. But otherwise, there shouldn't be a problem with that. Lastly, another downside to taking insurance is that some of the rates are basically dictated. So you are going to have to take the rate that is offered in your area for that insurance company. Everyone gets paid the same thing. There is a way around this, and I'll discuss it more thoroughly in my full course for telehealth insurance billing, but basically it has to do with requesting a rate increase. There's some nuances to that as well. One more important thing to note for a disadvantage to billing insurance is that if you're paneled with an insurance company, you're contractually obligated to take that person's insurance. But there is a way around that if a person wants to go private pay and not use their insurance, and it's something called an insurance opt-out form. This is also included in my full course. So what is the upside to taking insurance? Some of the pros to taking insurance, it was actually the best decision for me because in my area, the clinicians all take insurance. It's totally oversaturated. If I search my Psychology Today zip code and look in my area, all of the therapists take insurance. So if I were private pay, I really wouldn't be able to compete in my area. So basically, I have to take insurance if I want to keep a steady flow of clients. Currently, I get 2 to 3 new client calls per week, and they all want to use their insurance. So, because I want to be able to live my dream and work online and travel the world, I had to figure out how to take insurance and be an online therapist. So, in my opinion, there are more pros than cons when taking insurance. I do have a large pool of clients to choose from. And I say choose because not every client that calls is the right fit for me, or am I the right fit for them. So I want to thoroughly screen the clients that call and make sure that we're the right fit for each other. Sometimes I'll refer people out if it's not the best fit. Another perk to taking insurance is that I do very little marketing. I absolutely hate marketing. I hate going to the networking groups and doing the in-person promoting in my practice. Is just not my thing. So insurance companies are great for that because a lot of my clients just find me on their insurance provider websites. And the rest of my referrals come from Psychology Today and from other providers in my area, and also my clients recommend me to their friends and family and coworkers. And most people would like to use their insurance, so that's something that you have to keep in mind when you're trying to decide whether or not to take insurances. Another great thing about insurance panels is the direct referrals. So about 3 times a month, I'll get an email directly from an insurance company with a specific referral because my niche is specified in their referral system. So I notify the insurance companies that my niche is substance abuse and trauma. So when they have somebody that calls in with those issues going on, they immediately will go to my listing and choose me and send the referral to me because I fit in that niche for the person and for what they're looking for. Another perk for insurance is that clients tend to stay longer in therapy. They can get more work done with you, and also their co-pays are more affordable. And lastly, the insurance payments are fast and they're predictable. So for me, those are all winning things that make me want to go with insurance. So the next part is, which insurance companies do I choose? How do I know which ones to pick? Well, I would first suggest speaking with therapists in your area to find out which insurance companies offer the best reimbursement type for your license. So I'll go into specific detail about this strategy in the next slide. But before I do that, I just want to say I would recommend calling the provider relations departments before you apply to make sure that they cover telehealth. Because remember, it can take 90 to 20 days to get credentialed, so you want to make sure it's worth it before you apply. So utilize your resources. Like I said, call the provider relations department early before you even decide to apply. Next, I would recommend joining the online Facebook group. You can post your state in there and you can ask who the highest payers are and which companies are actually paying for telehealth. So in my state, Virginia, Medicare pays the most, over $100 for a 90837. And then next is Medicaid and then United Healthcare. So United Healthcare just recently increased their rates. Anthem used to be the highest payer in Virginia, but now UHC is beating them out by about $15 per hour. And just a little pro tip, and I'd just like you to notice that I'm not actually saying what the rate is. It's actually a contract violation to state out loud and share your rates with other providers. So just be careful if you're posting in the online therapist group or if you're talking to colleagues about insurance panels that you don't mention what your rate is or that they don't mention what their rate is. It's actually a contract violation. So next is a strategy for reaching out to local therapists. So once I figured out that insurance was for me, I needed to be strategic about which insurance paid the most and which ones covered telehealth consistently. So which insurance companies do I choose? I don't want to get paneled with a low payer that doesn't cover telehealth. So I want to make sure I do my research before I actually start applying. So let me dig in a little deeper to this strategy to let you know how to make it work in your area. First, I would reach out to local therapists who complement your niche and take insurance. And this is sort of a double tip. It's good for networking and marketing, and 2, it'll give you information about which insurance companies to choose. So step 1 is search your zip code on Psychology Today, and then filter down for therapists that offer online therapy and take insurance. And then read through their profiles and see if they talk about online therapy. Sometimes that'll be in the profile. Second, filter down to therapists that actually complement your niche. So for example, I see clients that have trauma and substance abuse diagnoses. So I only want to see clients individually. I'm not really into couples work or family work. So I sort of stick to the individual, but inevitably my clients always ask me if I'll see them and their spouses and their family members all together. And since I prefer to not do that, I actually need a large network of couples therapists and family therapists that I can refer to on a regular basis. So The third step is, once I pick some people who kind of complement my niche and meet my criteria and would be a good referral system for me, I just call them up and ask them to meet for coffee or see if I can just come into their office to learn more about their practice. And, people actually just love to talk about their work and what they do, so most people are pretty open to this. And you don't have to really go like selling yourself. It's more learning about them, and this sort of, opens up the relationship. So now, because I've sort of used this strategy, I've built a good network of therapists that specialize in couples and family counseling, and they understand trauma and addiction, so I feel really comfortable referring to them. Also, during this meeting with them, I would suggest just ask who their highest insurance payers are, and then ask what their success has been with billing for telehealth. So you can get that information and figure out if this is actually an insurance panel that you want to be a part of. So the next part is, okay, what do I do if I get into trouble? What do I do if the insurance company tries to take my money back? All right, this is the part that everybody worries about. So first of all, I call and I check the benefits. I actually call twice and check the benefits. You would be amazed that sometimes you can call and get one answer and call right back, get another representative, and get a totally different answer. So firstly, I never rely on the client to call and check their benefits. They don't know what to ask for, and they're often given the wrong information. So first, before I call, I obtain a copy of the client's insurance card. I either get them to text it to me, or I'll talk to them on the phone and just write down the numbers. And I always get the provider phone number that's on the back of the card. Now, calling can be tedious, it can take time, but it's totally worth it because you want to document everything so you can protect yourself later. So the things you're going to need to have with you when you call. Basically, you almost always are going to need your MPI number or your tax ID number. Next, you're going to have the client's policy number and their date of birth and their full name. Sometimes you'll have to have the actual policyholder's full name and their date of birth. So you want to ask, is this your policy or is someone else carrying you on this policy? So next, you'll have to have the client's policy number, and then you'll have to call. You'll have to go through the automated recordings of their primary benefits. This always happens. You enter the information. You've got to listen to the primary benefits. This isn't really information that you need if you're checking for telehealth benefits, but it's a step you have to go through most of the time. So they never give you telehealth benefits in the recording, and you can't find it on the company portals either. I've looked and I can't find them. So eventually you'll have to get to the option where you can speak with a representative. Once you get there and get connected to them, they're going to try to give you the primary benefits again. A lot of times I'll just politely stop them and say, look, I'm actually just trying to find the client's telehealth benefits for mental health. And then it's interesting, you'll get a variety of answers. They'll say telehealth, or, oh yes, let me see, or do you mean mental health? And you just need to be really assertive here. It can be really frustrating, but you need to just specify telehealth. And a lot of times I'll say like video counseling, like counseling over video, or some variation of this. Most of the time they'll check the benefit and let you know if they have it or not. If they say yes, they do, I say great. Do they need to use a specific platform, or is my secure HIPAA compliant platform sufficient? Most of the time they'll provide you with this information, or they'll say, I don't see anything about that here. So next I'll ask them to check the specific CPT codes and the modifiers I want to use, and I'll just say, can you please check a few CPT codes and modifiers for me? Usually they'll say yes, and then I ask for a 90791 with a modifier GT. And mostly they say that the CPT codes are fine, and I'll say, what about the modifier? Sometimes they'll say, yes, that modifier is good, or they'll say, I can't see the modifiers, just the CPT codes. So next I'll ask for the copay information, and sometimes it's different for telehealth than the regular copays. So I make sure I document all of this, and then I'll ask, what is the copay for telehealth, just to double check. Lastly, I'll ask for a confirmation code for the call. I document all this information in a form that I created. It's just an insurance verification form, and I keep these and I keep track of all the information in case I need to call back later. So What do I do if they try to take my money back? Actually, you just have to have excellent policies in place. So, I include the disclaimer that's on the next slide in all of my initial paperwork that the clients sign when they sign up with me. In my telehealth policy, my practice policy, and in a separate insurance billing policy. So I've got it in 3 different places just to kind of cover my butt when I'm billing for telehealth. I do have the client sign all of these forms before we begin treatment. So what happens if they don't pay and I get a denial for a telehealth reason? Sometimes there's other denials, but for a telehealth reason, I'll call the insurance company back and I'll ask them to resubmit the claim for reconsideration. First, I have them pull up the call reference number that I documented on my insurance verification form. I point out that I was told telehealth was covered. Usually they say, oh, yes, I see that, and then they'll resubmit the claim for processing, and almost 95% of the time this has worked for me. If I cannot get the claim paid, I usually will inform the client that they're responsible for the payment of the session. I charge the amount that the insurance has contracted with me to pay. So let's say an insurance company pays me $71.30. The client then is responsible for that. That's just a personal decision for me. Some people charge their full self-pay rate. I don't do that. And, if a client's unwilling to pay, I do remind them of the consents that they signed when we started treatment. Sometimes I'll even email them to them, depending on how unhappy they are about this issue. But generally, most people are willing to pay what they owe because I've done so much of the pre-work, making sure that they know it might not be covered. And a lot of times I'll work out payment plans if I need to. So, how did this work for me? How has my life transformed? I hope this presentation has helped you learn more about billing insurance for telehealth. My life has completely changed now that I'm all online. I've left my brick and mortar office and I no longer pay rent. I work from home in the city, and when a client cancels or no-shows, I'm able to go out and enjoy my city. Right now, I go out and the days are starting to get cooler, walk around the river when I get a break. Currently, my boyfriend and I are planning to become digital nomads. I didn't even know this term existed a year ago, but currently he's selling his house, I'm selling mine. We're planning to leave early next year. We love the beach, and we've identified about 20 beach towns we'd like to live in over the next few years. And we plan to live month to month in Airbnbs, all while working online. So we think our first stop is going to be Isla Mayorhes. It's a small island off the coast of Cancun, Mexico. So thank you for listening to my presentation. This was also an introduction to my complete guide to telehealth insurance billing. As you can see in this last slide, the course covers many things that I didn't cover in this short presentation. Again, is insurance right for your practice? How to start an online practice? All the liability requirements for insurances, parity laws, what do they mean? Do insurance companies cover telehealth? How do I find out if I can bill for telehealth? How do I bill for telehealth? And many other things. If you decide to go online, how do you get a virtual address and still bill the insurance companies? How do you file appeals? The course covers all kinds of topics. It's also got some bonus materials, as you can see here. It's got a decision-making guide. It's got full scripts to use with the insurance companies. It's got forms for accurate benefits tracking. I've also included a HCFA 1500 form. It's fully prepped to show you exactly how to build the location and the modifiers when you're billing different CPT codes. I've actually included some recordings of insurance calls to kind of show you how they go, some of the tougher ones, and then some policy templates to help you protect yourself in case you get into a situation where the insurance isn't going to pay. So thank you for joining me. I hope this presentation has addressed some of your fears about billing insurance for telehealth. It's working perfectly for me. It's given me freedom, and it's really simple once you get the systems in place. So if you have any questions, please contact me at the email address below. And also, there's a link there for my full telehealth billing course. Thank you.